These are the new Porsche 718 GTS models, the Cayman and the Boxster. Now, I know what you're thinking, they've given us the old ones by accident. But this isn't your standard facelift. In fact, it's more of a heart transplant. Because out goes the unfancied 4-cylinder engine, and in comes a new flat 6. Well, I say new, it's actually the same unit used in the Cayman GT4 and the Boxster Spyder. Pretty tasty then. So, let's see how they get on. First, we're going to have a little spin on the track in the Cayman. Don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on another Autocar upload.
So first up, it is Cayman GTS and we're on the track. We're on the track at Estoril here in Portugal, so it's a fairly hairy old track. Good test of any car. What do we notice first? Well, obviously it's the sound. We know what we're here to test. Yes, there have been some detailed improvements to the cosmetics of the GTS, but essentially it's that engine and you can hear it taking off now. So it's essentially the same engine that you'll find in the Cayman GT4 and the Spyder, but with 20 horsepower less. And that's pretty much it. There's the same amount of torque, so there's 310 pounds-foot of torque. Same 6-speed gearbox, same dual mass flywheel, same exhaust system. It is, to all intents and purposes, a GT4 engine. And as a result, Porsche claim 0 to 62 in 4.5 seconds, which is a tenth slower than a GT4, which isn't much. In terms of engine, transmission, you could be driving a GT4. And the difference, I know we've gone on about the 4-cylinder engines and how they're not really in keeping with a Porsche's character, but you sort of get used to them. And the moment you climb in this thing and hear that engine, oh, you know they've made the right decision to put this flat 6 in between the axles of this car. I mean, I reckon maybe in gear stuff, the old car might be a smidgen quicker, but you'd really have to be trying to notice, and the throttle response here is just lovely. Like all proper naturally aspirated units, you get out just as much acceleration as you squeeze with your right foot. Everything is so beautifully proportional. And yes, there's the noise. I mean, frankly, it could be a second slower than the old car and you wouldn't care, because when you open the throttler, this thing will rev out to 7.7. Listen to that. Oh, what a noise. The rest of the car, well, essentially it's GT4 as well. Yes, it hasn't got the rose jointed bits and some of the chassis stiffening, but unless you are really trying it, there's maybe a biscuit more understeer through really quick stuff, but like so little difference. You haven't quite got the outright grip because you don't have the wider tyres or the Michelin Cup 2s, but even here on track, pushing on a bit, there's more than enough grip and traction. We've also got the 20mm lower sport chassis, all the other toys, Porsche torque vectoring management, so we've got the active limited slip differential, we've got the active engine mounts, we've got everything that the GT4 has got, apart from, as I say, a few detail improvements. It's not quite as stiff, brakes are a bit smaller, this car's on the cast iron brakes, there is a carbon ceramic option, but frankly we've been pushing on in a few ducks and drakes laps behind some committed instructors and they haven't wilted yet. Oh, the noise. The 6-speed manual. The throw allegedly is slightly longer than in the GT4 for more ease of use, but again, we're talking degrees of difference. What a lovely thing to be able to heel and toe up and down the box. Listen to that engine howl all the way out to 7,000 RPM. And here's the good bit. It costs about £10,000 less than a GT4 and is a series production model, so you can just go into your Porsche dealer and buy one. It's probably 99.93% of what a GT4 offers, but in a cheaper package. What's not to like?
Okay, so the Cayman was pretty handy around Estoril, but we've come to expect that from mid-engine Porsches. The GTS model, however, needs to be equally as adept on the road. So let's get out there in the Boxster and find out what it's like.
Right, so for the Boxster GTS, we've headed out on the road, and this is where the GTS formula, the magic really works, because on the track, as I said, the Cayman was giving you 99.93% of what a GT4 can give. The balance is there, the steering's the same, the suspension's the same. You know, it feels like the same car, just a tiny bit softer, And that's where the tables are turned. Out on the road, the extra sheen of smoothness, refinement, is what makes the GTS such a great compromise, such a great road car and a good track car. And again, with the Boxster, not only do you get that same 4-litre engine, essentially the Spyder, the GT4 engine, 20 less horsepower, that's all, 4-litre flat 6, you get the roof off and you get to hear it even more. And oh, it sounds absolutely wonderful. We've missed this in a Cayman or a Boxster. This 6-cylinder noise, oh yes, it's what it's all about. The 4 cylinders were effective, very effective, but they're not a patch on this. Gearing's still a tiny bit long, very much a Porsche trait, but other than that, just spot on. Listen to the engine. Throttle response is immediate. It probably doesn't punch quite as hard in the mid-ranges as the 2.5 litre, but that lovely linear throttle response is just beautiful. Oh, you can just, what a noise. And of course, unlike the Spyder, you don't have to faff around with the tent over your head, the one that takes 14 hours to erect or put down. Simple push button in this one. Roof down, you've opened yourself up to that engine. So good is that engine that it's not difficult to overlook the chassis, because you can't really. But out here on the road, that little softer edge that the GTS has, you really appreciate it. Bumps that you'd be clenching your teeth over in a GT4. This smothers. It's firm and it's very controlled. With the extra compliance in the chassis, you can just lean on it that little bit harder. It gives you a little more feeling on the road at saner speeds. Steering is just bang on. Again, with these Porsche electromechanical racks, they filter out all the bits they don't think you need and just give you the information that they think's vital. And it's just perfect. You're not distracted by kickback at all. It's just gently letting you know what's going on. Rate of response is just perfect. It's not twitchy or nervous. You can just roll onto the chassis, feel the forces building up. Balance is sublime. You can just feel each axle working against the cornering loads. Just through these corners, just gives you options. You can feel it wanting to move and steer it on the throttle, just a little stab of the throttle to get the car pointing just so. Bags of front end grip. Brakes are spot on too, as you'd expect with Porsche. This one's on the cast iron standard option. Loads of feel, loads of progression, lots of bite. And yet, as I say, even with the 20mm lowering of the chassis, it's not uncomfortable. You can really ride the bumps. Very rarely do you feel like your spine is about to go through the top of your head, which can happen at a GT4, because let's not forget, those are track-focused cars, not this one. This is much more usable day in, day out. I mean, it's a cut-price Spyder, basically. £10,000 less than a Spyder. You get that engine, you essentially get the same handling, the same feelings. And I'm going to go out on a limb here as well. With the roof off, putting you closer to that 4-litre engine, 400 horsepower pretty much, 390 something, give or take a few horsepower. With the roof off, you are up close and personal with it. And it just adds, like the 911 Speedster, like the Spyder, it just adds that extra layer of involvement. For £65,000 and a proper motorsport engine in the back, I'm going to go as far as to say it's value for money, good value for money. And I know £65,000 is a lot of money, but listen to it. Oh, and again. Oh, lovely. This could just be the perfect sports car. There, I've said it. Lovely.
The Boxster and Cayman GTS really are remarkable pieces of kit. Now, there was nothing really wrong with the old car. In fact, it was arguably the best, most balanced model in the lineup. But that chuntering 4-cylinder engine really robbed it of some magic. Now, with that motorsport design 6-cylinder in the back, these cars are touching brilliance. Then you consider that they cost around £10,000 less than both the Boxster Spyder and the Cayman GT4, and well, you could just consider them the sports car bargains of the decade. Now don't forget, we're here every week with news, reviews, group tests, you name it. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss another Autocar video.